Today we're going to look at the story called The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant. This story was set in the 19th century in Paris, France. The social context of the story involves the plight of women. Women in the 19th century were at a severe disadvantage in terms of owning property and making any kind of decisions that would matter in the public sector. Women, you see, had to have something called a dowry in order to enter into a marriage contract. A dowry is the property that a woman would have available to her to be able to provide a good marriage contract for herself. So now I'm going to read a passage from the story The Necklace so that you can get a feel for Maupassant's style as well as this discussion of the topic of the dowry. She was one of those pretty and charming girls, born as if by an accident of fate into a family of clerks, with no dowry, no prospects, no way of any kind of being met, understood, loved, and married by a man both prosperous and famous. She was finally married to a minor clerk in the Ministry of Education. She dressed plainly because she could not afford fine clothes, but she was as unhappy as a woman who has come down in the world, for women have no family rank or social class. With them, beauty, grace, and charm take the place of birth and breeding. Their natural poise, their instinctive good taste, and their mental cleverness are the sole guiding principles which make daughters of the common people the equals of ladies in high society. All right, so we're going to talk about the plot, first of all, of this story, The Necklace. It begins with the description of Madame Mathilde Loisel. Though she is pretty and charming, she and her husband, the clerk of the Ministry of Education, are not well off financially. And she has always dreamed of a lifestyle of a fancy home with servants and, just a lifestyle of leisure. But she's ashamed of her social standing, and she no longer visits her friend Madame Forester, who has become rich. When the Loisels are invited to a ball, Madame Loisel becomes very upset, and she tells her husband that she cannot attend the ball because she has nothing to wear. He, however, is willing to give up his savings that he had saved to buy a rifle in order to purchase her a ball gown. So he believed that she would be happy about that. However, she continued to cry and sob and say, well, she didn't have anything to wear with the dress. She didn't have any jewels or necklaces or anything like that. So she ended up coming up with the idea to go ask her friend Madame Forester if she could borrow a necklace. And so she indeed borrowed this beautiful necklace and went to the ball, and she turned out to be the belle of the ball. She had just a wonderful time. Her dance card was filled, and she enjoyed her evening. But lo and behold, by the end of the evening, she was entering into the carriage, and she discovered that the necklace was missing. Oh my goodness, what in the world were they going to do? Where her husband scoured the streets, he went back and he traced their steps again and just could not find the necklace. And so they had to give up their entire life savings in order to pay back that necklace that was worth thousands of dollars. And so they had to mop floors and do menial types of tasks in order to do that, and it took them 10 years. And so at the end of the story, the resolution is that Madame Loisel met up with her friend Madame Forester and was telling her how hard her life had been for the last 10 years. But Madame Forester felt so sorry for this young woman because she told her that the necklace had never been real in the first place, that she had let her borrow a fake, or what was called a paste gilt type of necklace, which in today's standards would be like a cubic zirconia. So what a disappointment. The irony of this story would be that, you expect that this necklace is worth thousands of dollars, and it turns out to be worth maybe $10. What a terrible disappointment to work your whole life for something like that. So I suppose it's a cautionary tale that teaches us to not give in to that envy of the grass is always greener on the other side.
Sure, stop.
So the point of view of this story is told through third person limited, and Madame Loisel is the protagonist in the story. She's the central character, and she is this woman who, in some respects, is bitter and resentful and selfish, but on the other hand, she's depicted as being loyal to her husband and hardworking for wanting to spend those years paying back that debt. So I suppose you could call her a round character because there are many sides to her personality. However, I think you could call her static because her personality really does not change throughout. She remains static. As far as the theme of the story goes, The theme is the idea that appearances do not match up with reality. It's the central irony. While sufficiently beautiful to make Madame Loisel feel comfortable during the ministerial ball, the necklace is actually nothing more than a paste. Thus, it is not the reality of wealth or high social class that is important for Madame Loisel, but the appearance of it. Other themes in the story include the class, rich versus poor type of theme, as well as greed versus generosity. And as we've mentioned before, the irony in the story is that Mathilde Loisel ruins her life in trying to compensate for the loss of a necklace. Further reading on this may be something that you would like to do later. Guy de Maupassant had a close friendship with a famous French author by the name of Gustave Flaubert. He wrote a novel called Madame Bovary that has a lot of themes that are very similar to this short story, The Necklace, and so you may want to check that out. So thank you for listening.